Hello and welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Christina Stidham, Digital Content Manager at Women in Retail Leadership Circle. Today, I'm joined by Mei Shi, founder and CEO of Yes She May, an online shopping startup empowering female entrepreneurs around the world. In this episode, we're discussing the company's mission, how Yes She May curates the female-owned brands that it sells on its site, Mei's personal favorite products, and much more. So Mei, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, of course. Thanks for joining us. And first of all, I want to say that I love this concept. It's what Women in Retail Leadership Circle is all about, lifting up other women and also supporting small businesses as well. So I know that Yes She May promotes products curated exclusively from women-owned businesses across the globe. What inspired you to build this platform and when did it launch?
I have been in consumer business for a very long time. I started a business called Chesapeake Bay Candle in 1994 in the basement of my home. So I have worked with many major retailers and a lot of boutiques in the last 25 years. When I stepped down from my CEO position in 2018, I was approached by a lot of entrepreneurs. They want to know how I was able to start a business, even though my background was in diplomacy. I was trained to be a diplomat, and how I pivoted to candle of all product, and how did I turn a very sleepy industry into something that can inspire a more contemporary lifestyle. So as I approached the questions, I realized that I was the exception, not the rule, where I was able to scale my business very rapidly and where I was able to take my international background for sourcing and logistic competitiveness. So that's where I started to focus on the lack of growth or opportunity for women's business. But it wasn't until this year, during the pandemic, with all the women we talked to having such difficulties with canceled orders, shutdown of stores, that I came up with this idea that perhaps we can bend our needs so that we can provide this access to consumers with a view of finding the best of the best, where women consumer product companies have such a unique voice and they design with a deep understanding of what's missing. And here we are 6 months later. We have close to 60 women vendors and they're all over the world. So it's beyond my imagination how fast we have grown.
So you did talk about your experience in the retail space prior to founding Yes She May. I'm wondering how starting this business is different from what you've done before in your career.
In my previous life, it's really a brand that is consumer-based, but I'm more focused on brand development, product development, and collaborating with retailers. I was fortunate to quickly collaborate with companies like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Kohl's, and ultimately Target. I really had a lot of education and growing up with them because they have a massive system. You need to really be a good operator and you need to be very sharp with the cycle of product development and the manufacturing. So I would say I was definitely on the different side of the fence, so to speak. Being a retailer myself now, it gave me very clear visions of which brand and company have the capacity to scale and which one also has the unique idea that we can bank on. But all of them have challenges that I see facing small business, not just women's small business, but business in general. Number one is the scale of their business do not allow them to have very cutting edge technology. Number two is the cost of marketing, particularly digital marketing, is very, very expensive and the ROI is not there to really put any kind of focus. The third thing probably is obviously more concerning is the lack of rate that is competitive against the Amazons of the world. So when you're direct to consumer and your shipping rate is pretty much the rate of a consumer, that really puts you in a great disadvantage to scale. So that's what I want to help them change. I would say the difference between what I was doing and what I'm doing now is that I felt that that particular experience would help me understand the pain points and help me find ways to consolidate our needs and being able to make some inroads in terms of access to consumer through marketing, in terms of access to good technology, which I think we already are pretty good with our multi-vendor platform. It's now very easy to onboard a new company. It's really, if they have a direct-to-consumer site, we can onboard them within hours. We do not need them to enter all their data, their photos on our site. It's a click of a button. The API allowed it to directly become a product that we can see, and our consumers will not even know, they are on our site, but they have access to our vendor side, and all the sales and shipping updates are done seamlessly. So I feel we're already making tremendous progress in technology. Even with shipping and logistics, I feel being able to offer that for our women allowed me to negotiate better with partners such as FedEx and DHL and UPS.
Yeah, you're touching on one of my next questions, so I'm going to just jump ahead a little bit out of order here. So obviously, selling on a global e-commerce platform can be really daunting for small businesses. And you kind of just talked about this, but I'm wondering if you can provide a couple more examples of how the platform supports your female sellers with things like logistics and marketing, like you mentioned. And also, why is it important to you personally to help other women-owned businesses grow?
Well, I'm always a very global-minded person, starting from being born in China, growing up to be a diplomat, and having worked at the World Bank at the very formative age, and enjoyed truly the diversity of ideas and thought process. So it's a very comfortable position for me to be in, while I looked at suppliers coming not only from Asia, which we tend to import a lot of things as a country from, but there are tremendous talent and also raw material around the world. We work with Turkish women on very refined traditional technology, making cotton product. We work with women in countries like Morocco with some very interesting handmade process for leather. And we have alpaca products from Peru. So when you think about authenticity and having that kind of access to raw material and technology, but also know-how, it's a benefit to be able to work with international suppliers. The challenge for them is not very unlike what is the challenge for US vendors. The access to this market is very attractive, but it's almost close to them. They need very large importers to be able to bring their product through customs, warehousing, and then going to trade shows. So often than not, they cannot afford that kind of relationship. If they do want to sell direct to consumer from language, culture, the different metric systems, our government compliances, if you're talking about skincare product or electric product, it's just tremendously mundane for them, and it's almost beyond their resources to reach. The last but not least is the idea of international logistics. If domestic logistics is challenging, international is prohibitively expensive. We were looking at cost of getting a jar of cream from South Korea. That's going to cost $68, even with a very good rate. So how do you move from A to Z is not just know-how, it's also a precise science. Our team is trying to work on metrics where we can see within the North American continent, from Canada, Mexico, what is going to be the best way of shipping. Within our country to Europe, what will be the best company to help us? Most likely it's going to be DHL. From Asia inbound, what are the different categories of product and how do we make them affordable and still very fast? And then the question is what about Africa? What about Turkey? What about countries such as Brazil, which we have just opened a lot of relationship with? So we believe that it's critical that we start working with these women, because also traditionally they cannot afford to work with very large retailers. I remember working with Target, and when they try to bring handmade goods from Africa, And just that kind of volume is very prohibitive for small companies in those countries to put together. So I do believe that they need companies like us to really give them a direct to consumer access and learn their rope and learn their muscles and learn their how do they strengthen their logistics and their manufacturing and their forecast capabilities so that they can be integrated into the consumer market here.
So I'm just going to switch gears a little bit. Today's consumers want to know more and more about who makes the products that they purchase, if the product is sustainable, if the company itself is ethical. With all this in mind, how does Yes She May curate the female-owned brands featured on the site to meet this demand for socially conscious shopping?
That's precisely the reason that I feel we have a great opportunity. Whenever I met people, the first thing they always say, so what's your story? Not only is it a way for them to really get a perspective of your lenses and how you look at a problem, it's also a really intimate way to understand how to connect with each other. I think it's safe to say that without the real shopping in person, a lot of our shopping online has now been reduced to transaction. You have a photo, you have a product, you have a price. And I always say this is a very men's way of shopping. It's very like filing cabinet kind of way. It's not an emotional exchange and there's no connection afterwards. I miss the days when I was, traveling to those countries and I remember the bazaar and you kind of go back and forth, you negotiate prices, you pretend you want to leave and they chase you and they say, oh, but I have to spend so much time doing this and that. And in a way, that's how humans have sort of started working in the market over the thousands of years that we have been in this world. So I feel we want that connection. We want to know how they become a merchant for, blouse, or how do they start selling hats. And that story make them stand out. So the next time I want to buy a hat, they come to mind. Or when I bring their product to a friend, I have something to really say. So I want to bring back that artisan and that emotional connection. And I think we can achieve that if we put our founder forward. The founder forward idea is not new to me. It's not new to anyone, but it's really hard to execute and it's really hard to present. So what we're going to do, if you see it on our landing page, you see all the women founders' faces, and we're trying really hard to interview them ahead of time. We're going to do even more with our customers to meet them in person when each season is on. We're going to try to engage them with conversations about their design inspirations, their language, how they process data, and how they come up with each season's collection. So I'm very excited about the opportunity now on Zoom and on other social media platform and technology that really transcends borders and zones of time and culture, with the possibility of subtitles, for example, as we speak. I think that day will not be far, that we can actually have a Zoom meeting with a lot of vendors at the same time.
Yeah, this is incredible. And I love the idea for the platform. But now I just want to know a couple of quick questions more about you. What
Right.
woman inspires you right now and why?
Well, I think there are many of them because I've been working with so many women for such a long time. It's very difficult to say one versus the other. I really have been very much since a long time. I've been really very impressed with the German Chancellor Merkel. I think she is the kind of woman that many men have come to appreciate, and women have come to respect. They're no nonsense. They never use gender as a way to, as a way to give themselves allowances for failure. They always challenge themselves and they set the role model in everything possible that women can do it. If they can dream of it, not only can they do it, they can do a better job because we have more empathy, we can multitask, we can communicate better. And I think it's just exciting to see that more and more women are going to be in leadership roles. I do want to say that I'm still hoping we have more women designers that are outspoken, that are talented. That is why we're very focused on giving the platform to share with them.
Yeah, she is certainly a great example, a leadership from a woman on a global scale as well.
Yeah.
And what are some of your favorite personal products or brands sold on Yes She May?
You know, it's almost like which one of my children is my favorite, right? One thing I'm very proud to say is that we do not have an open platform. So we are actually a curated website where we work with individual brand one at a time. And the way we do it is obviously we approach them if we like the design aesthetics and the direction, but we also really want to make sure we do the homework for our consumers. So we would order samples and make sure that if they're size 7 for shoes, they're exactly a size 7. You know, if they have winter clothing, that they are warm, or how warm, what kind of temperature they can withhold in terms of warmness. So this is my philosophy, is that we have to earn our trust, and we have to make sure that women's business is not a charity business. It's a very good business, and it's a very competitive business, and we are showcasing the best of the best. So that being said, I think myself, I have very contemporary taste. So I like some of the more minimalist designs. For example, on our platform, there is a New York-based brand called Snowman. Very interesting sort of silhouette for a very traditional puff jacket. I also really like the way that the Peruvian brand Mia was able to make something that is very handmade and traditional into elegant and comfortable. It's actually one size, but everyone looks a little different when they try it, and they all look good. So it's not easy to achieve when you have one size sweaters. And in terms of other product, we have a great CBD product. I personally want to make sure that we also take care of the mind and body of our women. So often, women don't have time for themselves. They are overworking, and particularly in this environment, they have children, they cook, they work, and they shop. So I want to give them product to help relieve their pain or sleep better. So I particularly want to look for vendors that are in innovative areas for wellness, that is not always driven by medical treatment, but it's more authentic and from culture, as well as from the holistic approach. So we are always looking for new ideas, and there's no bad ideas. We work with people from South Korea with a green tea based product. We're going to launch an Italian product for hair so that it has better treatment at home. So these are things that we are always going to explore, and we are very excited about being able to bring to our consumers this type of unique solutions.
Yeah, so some of our listeners who also own their own businesses might be interested in getting in touch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me give you my email. It's may@mayshi.com. I would be delighted, and I would look forward to more innovative women founders, because that's where we will all together make a difference. Sadly, I was saying how ironic it is that women in this country makes 85% of household purchase decisions, but women-owned business only represent 2% of what's available to consumers. So that disparity, you can look at it as a very sad statistics, but it's also a great opportunity. That means women's know-how and their pinpoint has not yet been incorporated into design process. And I think that's our platform. That's where women with that design awareness and that problem solving solution will get better results. And if we can also convince consumers to give them a chance, they will be very happy to find that they don't have to use the same bra that's so uncomfortable, or they don't have to use the same toothbrush or the same toothpaste that they've used all their life. There's something better, something different, something that really have her as the main audience, not another man or not another child. Because if you look at who is on the senior team, particularly the board level of major retail companies, it's very seldom that there's a design leader from women that are on that level, which means most cases that not, it's not one of the criteria for them to consider if this product fits what a woman wants. So I see lots of opportunity, not only for us, but for all the women business owners around the world.
Yeah, that's an excellent insight. Something we talk a lot about, getting more representation on company boards and
Right.
and helping push more women up the ladder to higher levels in all companies, not just retail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's only going to be better. It's not that it's a must. It's going to be better for everyone. And I think UN also has statistics to show that if we can employ more women or women-owned business get bigger and growing, we can add to global GDP by 3%, right? And that's a huge number. When you think if just they are more engaged, we can grow our total economy. There's definitely momentum that we can build towards that goal.
Yeah, everyone benefits when women are involved. Definitely. We see it. There's so many facts and stats on it, and then it's just time to actually implement that.
It is. And it's also, I do feel, in our country, we do have a lot of media that is controlled by a couple of companies. How do we break that barrier so that people have access to those brands? That's what I'm saying. We are only 2% of what people have access to, because the retail channel are dominant by extremely large companies and extremely large social media companies or search engine companies. That's my major concern is no matter how great those women are, at some point they need to be discovered. And we need to be discovered by more women and other shoppers who wants to be more engaged and supported.
Yeah, and Yes She May is definitely working towards that goal. You guys are helping a lot.
We're trying, but it takes a village. So I'm always looking for more opportunities with your listeners if they are interested in working with us, or even if they are interested in finding out what opportunity we have within our organization to do a better job. I'm always looking for talent. So
that's incredible. Perfect. So for my last question, I'm wondering what you are planning on taking on next, either personally or professionally at Yes She May.
Well, I think we are going to try to open our China market at some point. Within the US, we have a tremendous opportunity to continually grow. But even in the US, we have a growing amount of consumers who's actually moved here because of their children. We do have a more mature consumer at this point because our product is relatively on the expensive side. It's not, it's not for their children that are just going to university. So we see the quick adoption and the willingness to try anything that has more authenticity, more natural ingredients, and more sustainable. So we are going to explore in not immediately, but maybe the next half of the next year, in the later half, to see if we can have some momentum and more representation there. So then we're in two of the biggest consumer market with only a single language in each market. And I think that's a benefit.
Yeah, well, best of luck with everything. And thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Women in Retail Talks.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for your time and your questions.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.